This is not a book about getting rich. It's a transmission, a portal, a living frequency that reminds your soul of what it already knows, that money is not a thing. It's not paper, not coins, not numbers in your bank. Money is energy. It flows not to those who work the hardest, but to those who resonate the clearest. The wealthy are not always the most skilled, the most educated, or even the most deserving, but they are often the most aligned. This is the truth no one teaches in schools. Yet it's the one secret behind every effortless fortune, every sudden breakthrough, every lucky success that defies logic. As you listen, something ancient within you will awaken. Not knowledge, but remembrance. You're not here to chase wealth. You're here to become it. Money is energy. Introduction: the forgotten frequency of abundance. There is an ancient hum beneath the noise of the world, a rhythm that once guided kings, prophets, artists, and mystics. It whispered not of coins or contracts, but of currents, invisible rivers of energy flowing in and out of every life, shaping fortunes, creating empires, birthing miracles. Long before money had numbers and names, it had vibration. It was known as the breath of exchange, the sacred dance between giving and receiving. Not a system, but a song. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet knowing that something deeper is at play. That the way wealth comes and goes in this world isn't just about effort or logic. That perhaps the ones who seem to attract abundance effortlessly aren't chasing money at all. They've become the frequency that money loves to follow. This book isn't here to teach you. It's here to tune you, to awaken the resonance of wealth that already lives within your cells. You're not holding a manual. You're holding a mirror that reflects your original state, where abundance wasn't earned, but remembered. Just as a sunflower turns effortlessly toward the sun, your being was designed to align with prosperity, not through force, but through frequency, not through hustle, but through harmony. Every chapter you're about to hear is more than words. It's a recalibration, a spiritual decoding of the laws that govern not just money, but manifestation itself. This is not financial advice. This is the truth behind the truth, whispered by sages, disguised in parables, buried beneath centuries of struggle thinking. And now, it's returning to you. You didn't find this audiobook by chance. You were called, because something inside you is ready to rise, the part of you that doesn't just want abundance. It is abundance. It always was. Let's begin remembering together. Chapter 1. The currency you cannot see. Close your eyes for a moment. Now imagine this. A world where every time you smiled with sincerity, wealth moved toward you. A reality where the value you radiated in silence, without speaking, without doing, created ripples of prosperity far beyond what labor could ever earn. A dimension where money didn't follow rules, but followed resonance. That world is not imaginary. It is this one, beneath the illusions we've been trained to believe. In a time not unlike ours, full of ambition, markets, and uncertainty, there lived a woman named Eleanor. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. She sold herbs and spices in a small stall tucked in the corner of a crowded marketplace. Each morning, she counted her copper coins like someone counting breath, tight with worry, her palms trembling with the mathematics of survival. Until one morning, just before sunrise, an old traveler appeared. His eyes gleamed like someone who had seen the fabric behind reality. "What do you sell?" she asked him cautiously. The man smiled. "Nothing you can touch," he replied, "but everything you can imagine." Eleanor laughed nervously, brushing off his words. But the stranger didn't flinch. He leaned closer and whispered something she would never forget. "Money is not in your purse. It's in your presence." That single sentence unraveled her world. You see, Eleanor's life didn't change because someone gave her money. It changed because she began to see money, not as paper, not as coins, but as flow, as energy, moving, responding, dancing to the frequency of her consciousness. Her shop didn't expand. Her inventory didn't double. But her energy did. She stopped seeing her earnings as reflections of effort and began recognizing them as mirrors of vibration. She infused her work with gratitude. She blessed every exchange. She smiled not to win customers, but because she felt herself becoming abundance. Within weeks, people started lining up not for her herbs, but for her. Her stall felt different, like peace, like warmth, like wealth, before it took any form. Modern life has taught us to see wealth as external, to measure it by accounts and possessions, to chase it with hustle and worry. But the ancient ones knew better. They knew what quantum physicists now confirm, that the fabric of this universe responds to energy, not action alone. That money, like water, doesn't obey force. It follows gravity. And in the realm of consciousness, your emotion is gravity. The more aligned you are, the more naturally it flows. Think of Elon Musk, not as a billionaire or inventor, but as someone who carries the vibration of vastness. He doesn't play by ordinary rules. He holds a field of possibility so strong that the world can't help but conform around it. You may or may not agree with his choices, but his ability to bend reality around an idea. That is energetic wealth in motion. So ask yourself, where is your energy pointing? Do you see yourself as the source of value, or just a laborer hoping to earn it? What if wealth wasn't something you chase, but something you tune into, like a signal, always broadcasting, waiting for your alignment? Practice the frequency visualization. Find a quiet place. Sit or lie down. Close your eyes. Breathe. Now imagine golden streams of light swirling around you, not outside of you, but moving through you, like wind through a canyon, like electricity through a wire. This is not visualization for wishful thinking. It is energetic attunement. Feel your cells relaxing. Feel your mind quieting. Let go of the tension of how and drop into the feeling of already enough. Say gently, money flows to me because I am aligned. I do not chase it. I attract it. I am the field. I am the source. Stay in this frequency, even just for a minute, for wealth, like light, rushes into open space. You are not here to survive. You are here to vibrate, and the clearer your signal, the louder the universe responds. Chapter 2. The Wellspring Within. There are places in the world where water flows without being summoned. It does not ask permission. It does not need direction. It simply moves because it must, because that is its nature. So too is abundance. Clara was only 16 when she stumbled upon the old stone well. The summer had been cruel. Her grandfather's sheep wandered aimlessly across the sunburnt hills, and the village murmured of droughts and debts. But that morning, as she chased a stray lamb through a patch of dry grass, something caught her attention. A glimmer, a stillness, a pull. Buried beneath vines and thyme was the mouth of a well, ancient and silent. Clara knelt beside it and peered in. What she saw changed everything. The water was clear, impossibly so. But what stunned her was this. The flow of the well changed with her feelings. When her heart lifted with gratitude, the water surged as if celebrating. When fear crept in, it slowed, almost reluctantly. That old well was not just stone and water. It was a mirror for her inner state, a mirror for the universe itself. You may think this is fantasy, but ask yourself, have you not felt the same? Have there not been moments, silent, subtle, where life responded not to your plans, but to your presence? When you felt joy for no reason, and then suddenly, something beautiful happened. When you gave freely, and found yourself receiving more than you expected. When you finally let go, and the thing you were chasing appeared on its own. Abundance is not a faucet you twist open. It is a river already flowing. You do not create it, you align with it. But the current of that river responds to your core vibration. Clarity opens the gates. Gratitude deepens the flow. Fear, control, and desperation, they dam the waters before they ever reach your shore. Walter was a merchant from the valley below Clara's hills. Each night, he sat hunched over his table, counting and recounting his coins. His wealth grew in number but shrank in flow. He tightened his grip with each success, terrified of loss, suffocating the very stream he wanted to keep alive. And so, it shrank, not because he spent it, but because he feared it. When illness finally slowed him, he had no choice but to let others tend to the shop. He released control not by wisdom, but by weakness. And then, miraculously, his prosperity returned, because he had unknowingly done the one thing that wealth always respects. He trusted. You see, Clara and Walter lived different lives, but they both discovered the same truth. Abundance does not answer your demands. It answers your alignment. It listens to the song beneath your words. It flows where hearts are open and minds are soft. Practice, flow alignment, ritual. Sit beside a window or close your eyes and imagine one. Visualize a gentle stream winding through a quiet forest. Inhale slowly. See golden light swirling in the water. Exhale gently. Feel that light moving into your life, into your body, into your choices. Say softly, I do not chase the river. I become the river. The more I open, the more it flows. Abundance does not come from force. It comes from frequency. Let your breath guide you. Let your trust soften you. Stay here for a few moments and feel how the water begins to move, not because you command it, but because you remembered. It was always yours. Chapter 3. The Broadcast of Belief. Imagine you're standing on top of a mountain. No phone, no computer, no signal, just you. And a powerful radio tower. Except that tower is you. And every thought you think, every feeling you hold, every word you whisper, is being broadcast into the fabric of the universe. You're not waiting for a sign. You are the signal. Dorothy sat by her window every morning, with her fingers resting on silent piano keys. Once those fingers danced across concert stages. Now they trembled with uncertainty. But one day, instead of reaching for music, she reached for something deeper, her voice. And she spoke, not to an audience, but to the field around her. I am a magnet for abundance. Money flows to me naturally and freely. I am already what I desire. At first, her voice shook. The words felt foreign, like trying to sing in a forgotten language. But day after day, her tone grew steadier. The affirmations stopped sounding like wishes and started feeling like truth. Then, slowly, subtly, powerfully, her reality began to bend. We often believe the world is responding to our actions, but it's not. It's responding to our frequency, and your frequency is shaped by your beliefs, especially the ones you don't know you have. Eugene, a shopkeeper in the city market, once said, "There's never enough. People walk past my shop. I guess I'm just not meant to succeed." He wasn't lazy. He wasn't unskilled. He was simply broadcasting lack. And the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, delivered exactly that. But everything changed when a friend challenged his words. What if your shop is already perfect? What if customers are looking for you right now? What if your job isn't to chase them, but to tune yourself so they can find you? Eugene tried it. He didn't change his shop. He changed his signal. He began saying, "The perfect people find me. My value is clear and magnetic. Prosperity recognizes me and wants to stay." Within weeks, his store felt different. New customers, unexpected collaborations, a wealthy patron who offered to sponsor his expansion. Same street, same shelves, new vibration. This is not coincidence. It's coherence. The universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to resonance. Think of your mind like a tuning fork. When you vibrate with joy, confidence, gratitude, you send out a tone that money knows and loves. But when you hold fear, resentment, or guilt, you jam the signal. You blur the broadcast. Money doesn't avoid you out of punishment. It simply cannot hear you clearly. Practice the personal frequency broadcast. Take 3 blank pages. At the top of each, write an affirmation that speaks to your most expansive vision of prosperity. Examples: I am the vibration of abundance. Money loves how I feel. I am already aligned with everything I seek. Now say each out loud, slowly, with breath, with conviction. As you speak, visualize golden light radiating from your chest, expanding outward like ripples on water. Speak not to convince. Speak to tune. Speak as if the universe has been waiting to hear you say these exact words with this level of knowing. Because it has. Money is not hiding from you. It's circling, listening, waiting for the clearest signal. And that signal is you. Chapter 4. The feeling tone of reality. You've heard it said before, thoughts become things. But here's the real secret. Buried underneath that slogan, thoughts do not create, feelings do. A thought without emotion is like a song without sound. It may exist, but it cannot be heard. It cannot ripple. It cannot reach the field. In the laboratory of creation, your emotions are not just fuel. They are the frequency the universe listens to. Say, "When I'm wealthy," with fear in your chest, and the field receives scarcity. Say, "I'm abundant," with guilt in your gut, and the signal gets scrambled. But say it with quiet certainty, with joy rising gently in your rib cage, and something begins to shift immediately. The universe is not responding to your words. It's responding to the feeling tone behind them. There is a vibration to gratitude. There is a hum to joy. There is a pulse to peace. When your body becomes that hum, when your breath carries that pulse, you are no longer requesting wealth. You are matching it. This is why affirmations alone don't always work. Why people repeat mantras and see no change. Because they're thinking what they want, but feeling what they fear. You cannot fool the field. You can only tune to it. In a quiet town on the coast, Ava, a yoga teacher and single mother, spent years trying to stay positive. She wrote her affirmations daily. She visualized. She worked tirelessly. And yet, money kept slipping through her fingers. One day, in sheer exhaustion, she sat down and let herself feel. Not the script, not the mental practice, just the raw, aching longing, the desire to feel safe, the hunger for freedom, the tenderness of, "I want more for my child." And as she cried, as her heart softened, as she stopped trying to perform abundance and started feeling the truth of her desire, something opened. That same week, a student gifted her a free website redesign. Her class bookings doubled. A publisher contacted her after finding a blog post she'd nearly deleted. Her actions hadn't changed, but her vibration had. She had moved from the thinking frequency to the feeling one. Wealth is not rational. It's vibrational. It doesn't speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of embodiment. So the question isn't, what are you thinking today? The question is, What are you feeling as you think it? Practice tuning the feeling. Right now, pause, close your eyes. Take one deep breath in. Now think of a moment in your life when you felt safe, held, at peace. Let it grow. Let your body soften into it. Let your heartbeat slow. Now, imagine money is already here, not arriving, not someday, here. How does your body feel now? What does your chest do? What does your breath say? Hold that for 60 seconds. No striving, just being the frequency. This is the tone reality is shaped by, not desire, not demand, but the quiet resonance of inner coherence. The clearer your emotional field, the faster the outer world aligns. Because the universe is not moved by what you say. It moves in perfect response to what you feel as real. Chapter 5. The Inherited Spell of Scarcity. There are stories written not on paper, but in blood, in bone, in breath. They do not speak aloud, but whisper in choices, in the hesitation before we ask for what we need, in the guilt that follows every gain, in the flinch when someone offers us more than we expected. These stories were not born in you, but they live through you. Frank was a shoemaker in a dusty workshop at the edge of town. His hands were gifted, his craft exquisite, and yet his business remained small, struggling, always on the edge of a just enough. Each night, as he turned out the lights, he would mutter the words passed down from his father. Nothing comes easy. If you want to survive, you suffer. He believed them, not because they were true, but because they were familiar. Because they had been etched into his nervous system like an old prayer he never meant to memorize. You see, scarcity is not always logical. It is ancestral. It is the inheritance no one talks about, handed down not in wealth, but in worry. You were not born thinking money is hard. You were taught, maybe not through words, but through tone, through the tension in your mother's voice when the bills came, through the silence at the dinner table when rent was late, through the way your father refused help, believing pride was safer than receiving. These are the spells of scarcity, not curses in the mystical sense, but emotional patterns passed down like family recipes. Only this recipe bakes limitation, and the most dangerous thing about a spell, you don't know you're under it until you begin to wake up. Ruth lived in a small valley, weaving tapestries that shimmered with beauty, but she never sold them. Why? Because the voices of her childhood echoed too loudly. People like us don't get ahead. Don't ask for too much. Be grateful for what little you have. For years her art sat unseen, until one autumn morning she watched the wind carry golden leaves across the sky, and something in her remembered that nature never apologizes for beauty, never limits its bloom. She picked up her needle that day, not just to create, but to break the pattern. Within months, a merchant discovered her work. A patron commissioned her pieces, and Ruth began the greatest act of wealth she'd ever known, receiving without shame. You are not here to carry old fear. You are here to transmute it. The pain that passed through generations can end with you. You are not betraying your lineage by becoming prosperous. You are liberating it. Practice the ancestral release ritual. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, place your hand on your heart. Now bring to mind one belief you inherited about money, one that feels like a chain. Maybe it's, money changes people. If I'm rich, I'll lose my soul. There's never enough for people like me. Visualize that belief as a dark thread tied to your chest. Then imagine calling on a golden flame, soft but powerful. Watch as that flame touches the thread, and it dissolves. Breathe. Say out loud, "This belief was never mine. I release it now. I am free to create a new legacy. I bless my lineage, and I rise." This is not rejection. This is reclamation. You are not abandoning your family. You are becoming the version they never got to be. The version that says yes. The version that receives with joy. The version that knows, "I do not have to suffer to be worthy." Let it end with you. Let it begin with you. Chapter 6. The resistance to receiving. You've been taught to give, to serve, to sacrifice, but no one taught you how to receive. And so when abundance knocks, you smile politely, you nod gratefully, and you slowly close the door. In a quiet schoolhouse painted the color of dawn, Marvin taught children with a heart full of light. His desk drawers overflowed with thank you notes, handmade gifts, offerings of gratitude from students and parents alike. But every time he opened one, he would push it aside and say, "No need for thanks. Their growth is all the reward I need." And he meant it. But something deeper stirred beneath his virtue. A subtle discomfort, a silent voice whispering, "You're not supposed to have more." Marvin wasn't rejecting money. He was rejecting himself. You see, abundance doesn't just test your ability to manifest. It tests your ability to receive without shrinking, to say yes without guilt, to hold more without apologizing, to allow life to pour into you, without immediately trying to pour it out. Receiving is not greed. Receiving is a sacred act. It completes the divine loop. The tree receives sunlight before it gives fruit. The flower accepts rain before offering nectar. The earth opens to the sky, not as a debt, but as a rhythm. Giving and receiving are not opposites. They are one circular breath. But for many of us, there's a fracture in that breath. Somewhere along the line, we began to believe, if I take too much, I'm selfish. If I receive without earning, I'm undeserving. If I shine too bright, I'll be punished. These are the shadows behind the smile, the tension beneath your generosity. And the tragedy is this. When you block receiving, you don't just stop your own wealth. You stop the flow meant for others, too. Because the more you allow in, the more you are able to give out. In a distant merchant district, Edith ran a successful shop, but every time she turned a profit, guilt curled around her like smoke. "Who am I to have so much?" she would whisper, shrinking from her own light as if success were sin. One morning, as she counted coins behind the counter, she had a realization that cracked her open. When I reject what's given, I dishonor the very force that's trying to bless me. It wasn't about money. It was about worthiness. So ask yourself, have you been refusing to receive because some part of you still believes you must earn every blessing, that you must prove your value before life is allowed to say yes? Let that go now, because here is the truth. You are not a vessel that must remain empty to be pure. You are a conduit, meant to flow, meant to hold, meant to give and receive in sacred, equal measure. Practice receiving into the heart. Stand before a mirror at dawn or dusk. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe deeply and meet your own gaze. Now say, slowly, out loud, "It is safe to receive. I am worthy of more. I do not owe anything for being blessed." Pause. Notice what rises. Guilt, shame, fear. Do not resist it. Witness it. Then breathe again and say, "I do not carry that story anymore." Let your shoulders drop. Let your face soften. Feel what it's like to open, to take in, without fear of being punished for flourishing. The universe longs to pour into you, but it can only enter where you are willing to let go of control and say, Yes, I am ready to receive. Chapter 7. The Echo of Gold. Money never speaks first. It only answers. It doesn't initiate. It reflects. Not your plans, not your hustle, but your energetic posture. Imagine a clear lake, still, silent. Whatever you pour into it, grief, joy, shame, celebration, it mirrors perfectly. Now imagine money is that lake, not an authority, not a judge, just a pure reflection of the vibration you bring. This is the echo of gold. If deep down you believe wealth is dangerous, you will keep it far away. If you believe rich people are corrupt, you will sabotage your own path to abundance. Because the mind cannot become what the heart resents. If you associate money with conflict, betrayal, or loss, you'll unconsciously push it away, even while consciously trying to attract it. Not because you are broken, but because you are consistent. Consistent with your vibration. Lena was a gifted coach. She helped others heal, rise, expand. But her bank account stayed stuck. She'd get a client, then lose one. She'd receive a gift, then feel compelled to give it away. One day her mentor asked her, "What do you really believe about people who have a lot of money?" She paused, then answered, "They're disconnected, cold, arrogant." And in that moment, something clicked. Her inner world saw abundance as separation. So no matter how hard she worked, her field made sure she stayed connected by staying broke. Money doesn't care about your effort. It cares about your alignment. It flows where there is congruence between what you say you want and what you truly feel safe having. If you praise abundance but judge those who have it, you are sending a mixed signal, and the field responds in kind. This is not a punishment. It's a merciful mirror, because once you see the reflection, you can change what it's showing you. Think of Oprah. Yes, wealthy, influential, powerful, but more than that, clear. She never shrank from abundance. She never apologized for expansion, because her field was not mixed. She healed the echoes inside her first, so that gold could echo back to her freely. And that, more than strategy, is what created her empire. Practice. Reflection inventory. Grab a journal. Answer these 3 questions, honestly, without judgment. What do I believe about rich people? What did I see money do to others growing up? What parts of me feel unsafe with success? Now look at your answers and ask, would I want to become the person I just described? If not, you've found the mirror. Now gently rewrite each belief, not as a lie, but as a recalibration. Example, I believe money makes people selfish. I now believe money amplifies the heart. In my hands, it creates good. Money is not a master. It has no will of its own. It simply echoes your frequency. And the question is, what are you echoing? Chapter 8. The Sacred Longing. There's a longing inside you, not a craving, not greed, something older than ambition, something wiser than strategy. It speaks not in words, but in pulls. In the quiet ache when you imagine a life more spacious, in the flutter of your chest when you dream of freedom, in the stillness that arrives when you imagine more. Desire has been misunderstood, vilified, shamed. You were told to suppress it, to distrust it, to call it selfish. But what if desire is not distortion, but direction? What if your longing is not a flaw, but a compass? Elena was a young architect. Her days were filled with blueprints and emails. But at night, she would light a candle and quietly sketch homes by hand. Organic, light-filled sanctuaries in nature. One day a friend saw the sketches and said, "These aren't designs. These are prayers." Elena smiled, then quickly tucked them away. "They're just dreams," she said. But they weren't just dreams. They were instructions, blueprints of the life her soul wanted to build. She didn't know it yet, but those sketches would soon become her reality. You see, desire is not something you create. It's something that calls you, not from the outside world, but from your deepest intelligence. It's the language of the future reaching back through time, asking if you're ready to remember who you are. But here's the truth many resist. If you are ashamed of your desire, you will block the path it's trying to open. Many people don't fail because they're not good enough. They fail because they distrust the compass inside them. They say, "I shouldn't want that. That's too much. Who am I to dream that big?" But here's what no one tells you. Your most sacred desires were planted in you by life itself. They are not ego, they are invitation. Think of someone like J.K. Rowling. She didn't sit down and decide to be a billionaire author. She followed a story that wouldn't leave her alone, a vision that pulled her, whispered to her, shaped her. Her wealth was not the pursuit. It was the echo of alignment. She trusted the pull, and the universe met her halfway. So what have you been pretending not to want? What dream do you keep calling unrealistic, even though it feels more real than the life you're currently living? What life would you build if no one told you it was too much? Practice the sacred yes. Sit quietly with a pen and paper. Write the words, "If I trusted my desire completely, I would." Then let yourself write. Let it be messy. Let it be too big. Let it be wild. Don't filter. Don't shrink. This is not a plan. It's a permission slip. Now close your eyes. Place a hand on your belly. Breathe into it. Say softly, "Desire is not danger. Desire is divine." Let the vibration of that truth settle into your body. And remember, you are not crazy for wanting more. You are called. Your longing is not a detour. It is the way home. Chapter 9. The frequency of enough. There is a silence more powerful than ambition, a stillness richer than the loudest declaration of success. It's the silence of someone who knows. I already have enough, not because they've settled, not because they've given up, but because they've tapped into the vibration of already full. Most people chase wealth from a place of emptiness. When I get there, I'll be free. When I earn more, I'll rest. When I succeed, I'll finally feel worthy. But that's not abundance. That's debt wearing a mask of desire. And the field knows the difference. True wealth doesn't come when you grasp for it. It comes when your nervous system says, "I can breathe now. I am no longer afraid. I am already enough." That vibration, calm, present, anchored, is what allows money to arrive without resistance. Maya was a creative strategist for global brands. Her schedule was full, her inbox overflowing, and yet she often felt as if her life was slipping through her fingers. One day, a mentor asked her, "What would change if you stopped trying to prove you deserve everything you already have?" The question landed like lightning. She paused. She looked around her penthouse, her accolades, her endless calendar, and she realized she had abundance on the outside, but scarcity still humming inside. So she stopped, not forever, just long enough to feel. She sat in the sunlight. She held her own hand. She whispered, over and over, "This moment is enough. This breath is enough. This life is already sacred." And the most surprising thing happened. Her income went up. Her energy returned. Her joy expanded, not because she hustled harder, but because her field softened. This is the paradox of abundance. When you no longer need more to feel full, life brings more than you imagined, not as a reward, as a resonance. Think of Eckhart Tolle. He wrote The Power of Now not from ambition, but from stillness, from presence, and that energy was so rare, so magnetic, the world leaned in. Millions of copies sold, not because he chased wealth, but because his vibration became a clear bell that abundance could not ignore. So ask yourself, are you striving because you're inspired, or because you're scared? Are you moving from fullness, or from lack dressed up in vision? Remember, the most attractive energy in the universe is someone who doesn't need anything, but still says yes to more. Practice the enough meditation. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. With each inhale, say in your mind, I have enough. With each exhale, I am enough. Repeat, slowly, gently. Let your body unwind. Then ask, without pressure, if I didn't need more, what would I want to create? This is the fertile soil of true manifestation. Not desperation, but devotion. You are not a hole to be filled. You are a garden in bloom, and from that place of enoughness, miracles grow like wildflowers. Chapter 10. Slaying the Final Gatekeeper. Every great myth has a guardian at the gate, a final test, a shadow that must be faced before treasure is revealed. In the world of wealth, that shadow is lack, not the kind in your wallet, the kind in your bones. Lack is not just about money. It's a world view, a nervous system set to not enough. A spell that whispers, what if it all disappears? What if I lose what I've built? What if I never make it back? You may not say these fears out loud, but you feel them in your breath, in the way you hold on to money too tightly, in the way you reject it too quickly, in the tension behind your generosity, in the panic that creeps in during silence. To become truly free, you must look this fear in the eye, not fight it, not fix it, but face it with presence and power. Jordan was a financial advisor, smart, strategic. He knew all the tactics, but after a major loss in the stock market, he spiraled. Not because he lacked knowledge, but because he'd built his confidence on control. When control vanished, so did his peace. One evening at his lowest point, he sat with a friend who asked simply, "Who are you, if there's nothing left to protect?" That question broke something open. He realized that the final fear wasn't about money, but about identity. He feared being nothing, invisible, insignificant, and that fear had been secretly running the show for years. Here's the truth. The fear of lack isn't about losing money. It's about losing the version of yourself that believed money was your proof of worth. But who would you be without that fear? Without the scrambling, the striving, the panic behind your productivity? Would you still be powerful? Would you still matter? The answer is yes. In fact, only then does your real power begin, because only when you no longer fear lack can you hold abundance without trembling. Think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in a cell, stripped of everything, power, reputation, wealth, and yet he emerged richer than before. Why? Because the final gatekeeper had nothing left to take. He had faced emptiness and found himself intact. This is the energy the universe respects, a soul who has nothing to prove and still chooses to create. Practice the gatekeeper ritual. Light a candle in a quiet space. Write down this question. What do I fear will happen if I lose everything? Let the answers come. Let them sting. Then write this. If I lose it all, who am I still? Write until you find something unshakable, a truth deeper than income, deeper than identity. Hold it. Then say, out loud, I am not my fear of lack. I am the source that never runs dry. Blow out the candle, not as an ending, but as a signal. You have walked through the gate, and lack no longer leads. You are ready now, not to escape fear, but to create beyond it. Because the final gatekeeper was never there to stop you. It was there to ask, are you truly ready to receive? Part 2, The Dance of Alignment. Chapter 11, The Alchemist's Touch. Some people hustle, some people chase, some people manifest from sheer will, but then there are those who seem to touch life. And gold appears, not by force, not by formula, but by frequency. These are the alchemists. But here's the secret. You don't need to be born special. You don't need to chant under a full moon, unless that brings you joy. You don't need to become someone else. You already are the alchemist. You just forgot where your hands begin and where the field responds. Alchemy, in its truest form, is not about turning metal into gold. It's about turning energy into experience, turning intention into opportunity, turning alignment into manifestation, turning breath into abundance. And it always starts the same way, by becoming internally coherent. Coherence is when your thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs all speak the same language. No mixed signals, no duality, no saying, I'm ready, while vibrating, I'm afraid. The field around you doesn't respond to your surface voice. It responds to your unified state. Sasha, a visual artist in Berlin, had struggled for years. She tried every marketing course, posted religiously on social media, copied other successful creators. Still, no breakthrough. One evening, frustrated and drained, she stopped trying. Instead, she turned on music, lit a candle, and painted what her soul had been whispering all along. No audience, no agenda, just coherence. 3 weeks later, her work was featured by a prominent curator. Her inbox flooded. Her income doubled in a month. Not because of strategy, but because the field had finally heard her clearly. This is how the alchemist works, not by effort alone, but by vibration, intention, surrender. When you act from alignment, your touch becomes magnetic, not heavy, not demanding, but natural, like the way a flower draws bees without needing to chase them. Consider someone like Jim Carrey. Before he was famous, he wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered. But more than just writing it, he became the version of himself who was already worthy of it. He didn't hustle blindly. He aligned his energy with the feeling of fulfillment long before it was physical. And when it came, it wasn't a surprise. It was resonance made real. So how do you begin your alchemy? Not by trying harder, but by listening deeper. Not by copying others, but by returning to your own energetic blueprint and tuning it until life recognizes you again. Practice inner alchemist activation. Sit still, place both hands on your heart, close your eyes, breathe. Now imagine golden threads moving between your heart and your hands. Every breath deepens the current. Every heartbeat strengthens the connection. Now say silently, I am the alchemist. My energy is enough. What I touch becomes sacred. Let the sensation expand. Feel your palms grow warm. Feel your chest soften. Now open your eyes. The field is listening. What will you touch next? Chapter 12. Emotion is the first currency. Before the world traded gold, before we measured value in digits and decimals, before banks and borders and business degrees, there was only one currency that mattered: emotion. It was the first language, the original exchange, the truest unit of value. Before a single coin changed hands, there was a feeling. Before someone said yes to your offer, they felt you, and before life ever gave you anything, it tuned into what you were radiating. Emotion is not a byproduct. It's the precursor, the spark that tells the universe, "This is my frequency. Match me here." Ariana, a jewelry maker in Lisbon, once tried to sell a beautiful handcrafted ring. She described its materials, its symbolism, the hours she spent on it. But no one bought, until one day she shared a post, not about the ring, but about what it meant to her. "I made this the day after I lost my grandmother. The stone reminded me of her eyes. Every time I touched it, I felt like I was touching memory." The ring sold in 10 minutes, not because the price changed, but because the emotional field shifted. The buyer didn't just want jewelry. They wanted to belong to something real. This is what most people miss. Money isn't just chasing logic. It's following emotionally resonant energy. Think about your own life. When you bought something that felt too expensive, wasn't it because of how it made you feel? Empowered, seen, free, beautiful, safe, alive. You weren't paying for the item. You were paying for the emotional state it unlocked. Emotion is not separate from money. It is money. Before money takes form. That's why your internal world matters more than your external plans. Because the field is not counting your steps. It's measuring your vibration. And your dominant emotional tone? That's what tells life what you're truly available for. If you feel poor but act rich, the field still responds to poverty. If you feel grateful while holding little, you become a magnet for more. Because emotion is what opens the energetic vaults. Not credentials, not strategies, not effort without feeling. Steve Jobs didn't just build technology. He created emotion. Every Apple product was designed to feel simple, elegant, powerful. He understood something most marketers miss. People don't buy products. They buy how you make them feel about themselves. So ask yourself, how do you feel about money today? What emotion rises in your body when you check your account? What energy do you project when you talk about wealth? Is it shame? Is it longing? Is it calm expectancy? That emotion is your signal, and the clearer your emotional field, the faster money knows where to land. Practice emotional wealth calibration. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your belly, one on your heart. Say softly, "Today I choose how I feel about wealth. Today, I lead with energy, not fear." Now imagine the version of you who feels already supported, already seen, already safe. Let that feeling spread through your body like sunlight on warm skin. Let it anchor. Now open your eyes. You've just made your first real deposit. In the emotional bank account, the universe listens to most. You don't need more strategy. You need more clarity in feeling. Because long before money ever arrives, emotion already has. Chapter 13. Tuning to the Gold Station. Imagine for a moment that life is a vast radio, a constant stream of frequencies, each one broadcasting a different experience. Lack has its station. Joy has one too. So does love. So does wealth. The question is never, will abundance show up? It's always, am I tuned to the right channel? You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're tuned to. Just like a radio can't play jazz while set to static, you can't experience financial flow while vibrating in fear. The universe is always broadcasting, but like a finely calibrated instrument, you only receive the signal when you've dialed in with precision, not through force, but through frequency. Tariq, a sound engineer from Morocco, understood this better than most. He spent his days fine-tuning microphones and waveforms. He knew when a signal was clean and when it was full of noise. But what he didn't realize was that his own life was full of energetic static, constant worry, distrust in clients, small resentments toward those more successful, all of it cluttering his field. No wonder money came and went, never steady, never clear, until one night, in meditation, he asked, "What if I tuned myself like I tune my studio?" He began the next day differently, not with goals, but with harmonics. He walked slower, he breathed deeper, he noticed beauty. He blessed his payments, in and out, and within weeks his inbox filled with work that reflected his new tone. People didn't know what changed, but they felt it. That's the power of subtle energetic shift. Most people try to do more when things don't flow, but alchemists know. You don't change the broadcast by pushing harder. You change it by turning the dial within. Think of tuning like this. Worry equals static. Gratitude equals clarity. Desperation equals distortion. Presence equals signal boost. Joy equals perfect pitch. Your job isn't to force the song. It's to find the frequency where the song plays through you. You don't have to be high vibe all the time, but you do have to be honest about what station you're currently tuned to, because pretending to be abundant while vibrating in fear only creates more friction in the field. Oprah once said, "What you focus on expands." But it's more than focus, it's tuning. It's the decision to match the reality you want before it arrives, to feel it in your bones, to carry the sound of it in your body, to walk, speak, breathe like someone who's already living inside the field of wealth. Practice. Dialing and sit in silence. Take 3 deep breaths. Now ask yourself, what emotional station am I on today? Don't judge, just notice. Then ask, what would the frequency of wealth sound like in my body right now? Let your posture shift. Let your breath deepen. Let your mind soften. Now speak, as if you are the transmitter. I am already tuned to the gold station. Money recognizes me, because I finally recognize myself. Stay here. Let the resonance settle. Let the signal lock in. You don't need to chase the music. You just need to become the instrument that plays it. You are not searching for gold. You are remembering how to ring like it, and once you do, life can't help but sing back. Chapter 14. The Divine Breath of Circulation. Take a deep breath. Hold it longer. Now notice, the moment it stops moving, what once gave you life becomes discomfort. Eventually, danger. You can't hold breath forever, and neither can you hold money. Circulation is the most sacred law of nature. Water flows, blood flows, love flows, wind flows, and so must wealth. Money is not a trophy. It's a tide, a breath, a rhythm between inhale and exhale. And when you stop the flow, you don't just block money. You block trust. You block life itself. Isaac, a healer from Cape Town, once received a sudden surge of income. His instinct was to lock it away, afraid of losing it. He canceled plans, refused to invest, delayed generosity. Within months, his income dried up. He hadn't lost it through spending. He lost it through stagnation, because abundance cannot breathe where there is contraction. This is the paradox. The more tightly you grip wealth, the faster it slips away. True circulation requires faith, a kind of soft power, a willingness to release even before the next wave comes in, just like breath. Think of a heart that stops pumping. It dies, not because it was weak, but because it stopped moving. Money is the same. The wealthiest beings on earth, energetically and financially, are not those who hoard. They're those who let energy move through them like music through a flute. That doesn't mean reckless spending. It means intentional flow, giving from a place of overflow, receiving with openness, investing with trust, and letting go with grace. Look at nature. Trees don't cling to last season's leaves. Rivers don't hoard water. Clouds don't fear the rain. They give, they release, and by doing so, they renew themselves. So ask yourself, where am I holding too tightly? What am I afraid to release? What part of me believes that giving means losing? Then ask, what would change if I saw every transaction as a breath, part of my sacred rhythm? Practice the circulation breath. Sit in stillness. Place one hand on your chest, one on your stomach. Close your eyes. Inhale through the nose. I receive with ease. Hold for 3 seconds. Exhale through the mouth. I release with grace. Do this for 3 to 5 minutes. Let your body teach your energy field how to flow. You are safe to circulate. You are safe to let go. Because every exhale invites a new inhale. And every time you trust the breath of money, you invite more of it into your life. You don't need to force abundance. You just need to stop interrupting its rhythm. Let it move. Let it breathe. Let it bless you and flow beyond you. Chapter 15. The Garden of Living Intentions. You are always planting something. With every thought, every feeling, every action you take, especially the subtle ones, you sow seeds into the invisible garden of reality. The question isn't, am I planting? The question is, what kind of harvest am I preparing for? Intentions are not wishes. They're not passive hope. They are living blueprints, sentient designs, encoded with energy, belief, and direction. They don't just carry meaning. They carry momentum. You don't need to know how they'll bloom. You only need to plant them with presence, with clarity, with emotional investment, because vague seeds birth vague results, but clear, coherent, living intentions. They bloom like miracles. Camila, a ceramicist in southern Chile, once spent her days copying market trends. She made what sold, what was safe, what others were already doing. But her sales plateaued. Her joy dried up. One morning she sat by her wheel and asked, what would I create if I trusted that life was listening? She made a single, imperfect bowl, glazed with symbols from her grandmother's lullabies. No market research, no logic, just intention. She placed it in her window. 2 days later, a traveler walked by. He didn't just buy the bowl. He commissioned an entire series. That bowl wasn't better. It was alive. Intentions don't need to be loud. They need to be true, rooted, felt, released. You don't have to force the universe to listen. You just have to speak from the part of you that's not pretending. Here's the mystery. The universe is not a vending machine. It's a garden. It doesn't reward performance. It reflects energetic fertility. And fertile ground doesn't come from desperation. It comes from devotion. Think of someone like Maya Angelou. Her words didn't just land. They took root. Because her writing was intention in motion. Every line soaked in meaning. Every pause a seed. She didn't hustle for validation. She planted truth. And truth, when planted deeply enough, grows wealth in forms you cannot yet imagine. So ask yourself, what am I truly intending right now? Is it born of fear or of clarity? Do I want to possess or to plant? Then ask, what would I create today if I believed my intentions are sacred, fertile, alive? Practice the planting ritual. Sit in quiet. Light a candle if you wish. Hold your palms open as if holding seeds. Whisper softly, today I plant living intention. I ask not for control, but for coherence. I trust the soil of the unseen. Now name one desire, just one, not as a demand, but as a gift to the future you. Visualize it rooting in rich, warm soil. See it absorbing light. Feel it pulsing with possibility. Now let it go. You've done enough. It's planted. You're not here to beg life for fruit. You are here to tend the soil and trust that living intentions always bloom. Chapter 16. The Soul of Purpose. Money is not emotional, but it is intuitive. It moves with meaning. It seeks direction. It follows fire. That's why money doesn't always go to the smartest, but often to the clearest. The field doesn't reward ambition alone. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins with purpose. Not the kind you force, not the kind you post on a website, but the kind that rises from the root of your being and says, "This is what I'm here to give. This is what I'm willing to carry. This is what I would die and live for, again and again." When you touch that level of clarity, you become magnetic. There's no energy more attractive than someone who knows why they move. Not what they want, not how they'll get it, but why it matters. Elijah was a chef who once cooked to survive. Bills, pressure, expectation, but nothing stuck. Nothing lasted. His food was good, but his energy was scattered. One day, after a quiet walk in the rain, he sat with a journal and asked, "What do I actually want to feed people?" What came through was this: I want people to feel safe in their bodies. I want every bite to say, "You are home." That became his purpose. And from that moment on, his meals changed. His branding changed. His pricing changed. Not because of a mentor, but because his frequency became undeniable. Within months, investors found him. Clients came not just for the food, but for the field he carried. This is what most people miss. Money doesn't care about what you do. It cares about what you mean. And when you become the embodiment of deep meaning, life has no choice but to respond. Think of someone like Malala. She didn't build an empire by seeking influence. She became a force because her why was stronger than fear. And now money, media, and momentum follow her. Not because she chased them, but because she anchored into something eternal. So ask yourself, what am I building and why? Who do I become when I have wealth? What will I serve when I'm no longer surviving? Because when your desire serves more than your ego, it begins to activate a field bigger than your name. And in that field, abundance flows like water. Practice, purpose, anchoring. Write the question, what is my wealth here to serve? Set a timer for 7 minutes. Let the answers come. Don't filter. Don't perform. You might write, my family, beauty, liberation, God. Whatever arrives, let it be enough. Then take one deep breath and say aloud, money is welcome here, because now it knows why. Money doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be on purpose. And when you walk with purpose, you don't chase gold. You become the flame it can't resist. Chapter 17. The whisper that always says yes. There is a voice beneath the noise. Not loud, not demanding, but clear, precise, consistent. And it's always saying the same thing. Yes. Yes. To your vibration. Yes. To your emotion. Yes. To the signal you're sending out into the field. The universe is not judgmental. It's responsive. It doesn't punish or reward. It reflects. If your energy says, I am safe, life says, yes, you are. If your energy says, I'm afraid it will disappear, life says, yes, it may. If your field whispers, I'm not enough, then life gently echoes, then nothing will ever be enough for you. This is not cruel. It's honest. It's neutral. It's law. You are not being denied. You are being matched. Renee, a singer from Montreal, once told herself every day, no one wants to hear me. There's already too many voices out there. Who am I to be seen? And so, no one called. No one listened, not because she lacked talent, but because she broadcasted invisibility. One night, in stillness, she heard a whisper inside. "I am allowed to be heard." She cried, not from pain, but because the field finally shifted. 2 weeks later, her video went viral, not by strategy, by resonance. The field had been waiting for her yes to become louder than her no. This is what most people miss. The universe is not blocking you, it's agreeing with you. So the real work is not convincing life to say yes, but listening to what you've been saying beneath your words. This is why stillness matters, not as a trend, as a tool of retuning, because only in quiet can you hear the signal you're truly emitting. Think of someone like Paulo Coelho. He wrote The Alchemist not to become a best-selling author, but because something inside whispered, "This story wants to be born." And when he followed that whisper, the world said, yes. That's alignment. When your internal yes and the universe's echo sing the same tone. Practice listening to your yes sit in silence. No music, no goals, just stillness. Ask yourself, what have I been unconsciously saying yes to? Wait, don't force an answer. Then ask, what would it feel like to say yes to something bigger? To abundance, to love, to ease. Breathe. Let your body respond before your mind does. Then gently say aloud, I am ready to become the yes I've been waiting for. You don't have to scream to be heard. You just have to be honest in your vibration. The universe is already listening, already responding, already moving. The question is, are you tuned enough to hear its whisper? Chapter 18, Divine Compensation. Some things take time, others arrive instantly, but nothing is ever truly lost, especially not what you've given from the heart. We live in a world obsessed with immediacy, instant rewards, quick returns, fast evidence that what we did was worth it. But the field you're dancing with is not ruled by speed. It's ruled by sincerity, by alignment, by intention. And when you offer something real, a gift, a service, a truth, a moment of grace, you activate something ancient, divine compensation. This is not karma. This is not moral accounting. This is not be good and you'll get a gold star. This is energetic law, and the law is simple. What you give in truth returns to you multiplied, not always through the same door, but always through the same frequency. Celine, a writer from Athens, once published a blog post that got only 7 views. She almost deleted it, but months later one of those 7 readers, an editor, offered her a book deal. The post didn't perform, but it carried essence, and essence always finds its way back home. This is why your energy matters more than your outcome. You may not see the ripple today, but life is always collecting what you sow and preparing to return it to you when you are most ready to receive. There is no such thing as wasted love, no such thing as a lost act of courage, no such thing as a meaningless kindness. Everything that leaves your field cleanly, with trust, with service, with love, will echo, will circulate, will find its way back, sometimes through money, sometimes through opportunity, sometimes through a door you didn't even know existed. This is divine compensation. The universe settles all debts of light, not to please you, but to stay in balance with itself. Think of someone like Brené Brown. She didn't become a household name overnight. She spoke vulnerably, offered truth without polish, and trusted that the message itself would carry its own reward. And it did, not through viral marketing, but through resonance. She gave, and life returned it tenfold. So ask yourself, where have I given freely, but judged the return too soon. What sacred action am I still waiting to pay off? Can I release my timeline and trust divine timing? Practice the ledger of light. Set with a journal. Write, I call back what I have given in love. List 3 moments where you offered something, without being asked, without being paid, without being praised. Now say aloud, none of it was lost. All of it lives in the field, and I am ready to receive its return. Close your eyes. Breathe into your chest. Feel the energy gathering, not from the past, but from the present moment of alignment. You don't have to beg the universe to remember. It never forgot. It's been waiting for you to believe again that you are worthy of return. And the moment you believe that, the echo begins. Chapter 19. The inner oracle awakens. There is a place inside you that already knows. It doesn't guess. It doesn't calculate. It doesn't need proof. It just knows. Knows what to do. Knows where to go. Knows when to wait. Knows when to leap. This is your inner oracle, and it has never been wrong. You may have called it intuition, a gut feeling, a hunch. But it's more than that. It's your original compass. Not learned, not taught, but remembered. And once reawakened, it becomes the most trustworthy guide on your path to wealth. Not in theory, but in energetic truth. Sanjay, an entrepreneur from Bangalore, once built a startup by the book. He followed every mentor, every blueprint, and it worked until it didn't. His second business, built from intuition, not instruction, felt different. No pitch deck, no market validation, just a quiet whisper inside that said, this is what people need next. And they did, because truth speaks louder than strategy, even when no one else hears it yet. This is what your inner oracle does. It gives you information your logic hasn't caught up to. It reads the field before your mind reads the data. It leads you from alignment, not anxiety. But only when you let it speak. Most people silence their oracle. They override it with doubt, with noise, with other people's voices. But here's the truth. The more you ignore your intuition, the more expensive your lessons become. Because the field is always teaching you to return to your own knowing. Think of someone like Steve Jobs. He once said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. He didn't build Apple through consensus. He built it through conviction and the quiet fire of his inner knowing. He trusted what he felt before it became logical to others. That's the oracle. That's power. So ask yourself, when was the last time I ignored my inner knowing and paid for it? When was the last time I followed it and everything worked out better than expected? What is my oracle whispering right now? Don't rush the answer. It's already there, beneath the noise. Practice reconnecting to the inner oracle. Find a still space. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Ask silently, what truth am I ready to hear today? Wait, not with tension, but with receptivity. A word, a color, a feeling, a phrase. Whatever rises, let it be enough. Now say, I trust my knowing more than I fear being wrong. Feel how that changes your breath. Now open your eyes. You are not lost. You are not behind. You simply forgot to ask. The only voice that always knows. You were never meant to chase advice. You were meant to remember your own rhythm. And when your oracle awakens, the world finally remembers who you are. Chapter 20. The energy ledger. Imagine for a moment that you have 2 bank accounts, one with numbers, the other with vitality. The first one you check daily. The second, You forget until it's overdrawn. But the second one is the real currency, because before money moves, energy does. Every decision you make is a transaction. Every yes that drains you, every no that costs your peace, every room that steals your presence, every conversation that fuels your joy. They all go into the ledger. But most people live like energy is infinite. They burn through it, trying to earn more in the numeric world, only to find themselves exhausted, bitter, disconnected. That's not wealth. That's energetic bankruptcy. True prosperity begins when you become aware of what you're spending, without seeing a single receipt. Jamal, a business consultant in Toronto, made $250,000 a year. But he was constantly tired, anxious, snapping at his kids, feeling like his life was leaking. One day a coach asked him, "What if your energy is the only thing the universe is really counting?" He paused, and everything changed. He began tracking his days like investments. What gave energy? What took it? What fed his field? And what drained it dry? He cut one toxic client, reclaimed his mornings, took midday walks with no phone, and to his surprise, his income went up. Not because he did more, but because his frequency lifted. This is the power of the energy ledger. When you stop paying with your peace, money starts showing up differently. Because wealth doesn't just come from effort. It comes from clarity of capacity. Here's a deeper truth. Every version of you has a price tag, not in dollars, but in energy. There is a version of you that costs your joy, and another that produces it. The difference is how you spend your attention, your boundaries, your breath. Think of someone like LeBron James. He doesn't just invest in skills. He invests in recovery, in nutrition, in coaches, in sleep. Because the wealth of performance comes from protecting the energy it depends on. That's not luxury. That's discipline. So ask yourself, where am I spending energy that brings no return? Who or what feels expensive to my nervous system? What would change if I guarded my energy like my checking account? Practice the ledger audit. Tonight before sleep, draw 2 columns. Left side, what drained me today? Right side, what nourished me today? No shame, just awareness. Then ask, what's one small shift I can make tomorrow to protect my field? You are not here to live in constant withdrawal. You are here to generate overflow, and it starts by treating your energy like the sacred asset it is. The field responds not just to your effort, but to your energetic solvency. And when your energy is rich, money follows naturally. Chapter 21. The cost of control looks like wisdom, sounds like responsibility, feels like safety. But sometimes control is just fear wearing a business suit. We think that if we can just plan better, if we can just predict all the outcomes, if we can double-check every detail, then maybe, just maybe, we'll feel safe. But life doesn't flow in spreadsheets, and wealth rarely follows a script. Here's the paradox. The more you try to control the flow, the more you signal to the field, I don't trust it. And when trust disappears, so does flow. Nora, a creative director in London, lived by her calendar. Everything scheduled, everything optimized. No space for randomness, no room for silence. And it worked, on paper. But inside, she was brittle, stuck, overmanaged, and under-inspired. One day, during a meditation retreat she almost didn't attend, a single phrase cracked her open. You can't receive what you won't allow. She realized she wasn't just controlling tasks. She was controlling life itself. And in doing so, She had squeezed the magic out of her field. Control is expensive, not just emotionally, but energetically. It requires constant vigilance, constant doubt, constant rejection of help from the unseen. And the field reads that like static. It's not that planning is wrong. It's that over-control becomes a cage, a place where the unexpected, which is often where miracles live, can't get in. True wealth doesn't just come from discipline. It comes from openness, from allowing, from presence, from the sacred pause where you say, I've done my part. Now I let the rest move as it must. Think of someone like Richard Branson, known for spontaneity, for trusting his gut, for making big, bold moves without always knowing the full path. His wealth didn't grow from spreadsheets alone. It grew from space, space for risk, space for alignment, space for trust. So ask yourself, what am I trying to control that isn't mine to carry? Where am I micromanaging the flow of life? What would I gain if I surrendered 10% more today? Practice the sacred unclenching. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply into your hands. Now ask, where in my life am I gripping too tightly? Place your hands over that area of your body. Say softly, I release the illusion of control. I trust the current that knows more than I do. I let go, so something greater can flow in. Feel what shifts, even if just a little. Sometimes it takes just one unclenching for abundance to rush in. You weren't meant to hold the river. You were meant to move with it. And the cost of control is missing the miracle that arrives when you finally let go. Chapter 22. The sacred channel of trust. Before abundance flows, before alignment crystallizes, before money moves, trust must open, because trust is the channel, the vessel, the quiet yes that tells the universe, I'm ready to receive without knowing every how. Trust isn't passive, it's not blind, it's not naive. Trust is an energetic skill, a spiritual technology, an invisible conduit through which all true wealth arrives. And when it's blocked, so is your abundance. Think of trust like a riverbed. No matter how much rain the sky sends, if the channel is cracked, narrow, or filled with fear, nothing flows. People often ask, why am I doing all the right things, but still nothing is showing up? Because doing isn't enough when the being underneath it says, I don't believe I'm supported. Layla, a wellness coach in San Diego, worked tirelessly. Content, clients, courses. But the money felt delayed, like it was always almost here. One morning, after weeks of striving, she sat still, and a single sentence rose. I've been working as if I'm alone in this. That truth landed hard, because deep down, she didn't trust the field. She trusted her hustle, her checklists, her control, but not the invisible intelligence that partners with those who allow it. She wept, and then whispered, I trust now. I trust enough to rest. That month, she received more than she had in the previous 3, without changing her strategy, because her channel had opened. Trust doesn't mean you stop acting. It means you stop gripping. You still plant. You still show up. But you no longer panic when results don't arrive on schedule. You understand that energy responds not just to action, but to the quality of surrender beneath it. Think of someone like Eckhart Tolle. He didn't rush success. He sat in presence. He trusted the moment so deeply that wealth arrived on the vibration of stillness. His trust became the transmission, and the transmission became abundance. So ask yourself, do I actually believe I'm supported, or just hoping to be? Where in my life is trust still conditional? What would deepen if I allowed life to surprise me? Practice Deep trust in vocation. Place one hand on your chest, one on your lower belly. Close your eyes. Whisper softly, I am held. I am safe. I trust the timing of what is already mine. Repeat gently. Let the words soften your muscles. Let your breath slow. Let your nervous system open. You are not begging the universe to help you. You are finally letting it in. Trust is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of surrender. And when surrender deepens, the current moves again. The gold flows again. The sacred yes finds its way to your door. Chapter 23. The Master Key of Deserving. There is a door to wealth. It doesn't respond to hustle, or to intelligence, or even to spiritual practice. It opens to one thing only: self-worth. You can align your energy, raise your frequency, tune to abundance. But if the signal beneath it all still whispers, I'm not enough, I don't deserve this, this can't last, then wealth may knock, but it won't stay. Not because it's rejecting you, but because you're rejecting yourself. This is the wound behind so many broken manifestations. Not a lack of vision, but a lack of inner permission. You cannot fully receive what you don't believe you're worthy of holding. Tamara, a therapist from Melbourne, began to attract more clients than ever before. Waitlists, praise, payment, overflow. But instead of celebrating, she sabotaged. She cancelled sessions, lowered her rates, felt anxious every time she checked her account. Why? Because she hadn't yet become the version of herself who could stand inside abundance without shrinking. Her nervous system still believed success belongs to others. Too much will make me unsafe. I don't deserve to feel this free. And so, like water in cupped hands, wealth slipped through. Here's what no one tells you. Worthiness is not something you earn. It's something you remember. You were born with it. But over time, through shame, silence, rejection, you forgot. Now you get to reclaim it. This reclamation is not loud. It's not about declarations. It's about repatterning your inner field to accept joy without guilt, to receive praise without deflection, to hold prosperity without apology. It's about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you are enough, now. Not someday, not when you prove it, not when it's perfect, now. Think of Viola Davis. Her journey wasn't just about recognition. It was about owning the space she once felt uninvited to stand in. Her power came not just from talent, but from choosing to belong in rooms she once thought were off limits. And when she did, the world adjusted, because the field always reflects back your inner yes. So ask yourself, where am I still trying to deserve what is already mine? Where do I reject abundance because I haven't yet accepted me? What would change if I decided without condition that I am enough? Practice the worthiness declaration. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Place both hands over your heart. Whisper slowly, I belong in wealth. I belong in peace. I belong in joy. I'm worthy of all of it, and more. Breathe that in. Let it feel uncomfortable. Let it shake the old stories. Then say again, I do not need to earn it. I am it. And watch what opens. This is the master key, not outside you, within you. And when it turns, every locked door of abundance begins to open, not because you forced them, but because you finally believed. You were already allowed in. Chapter 24. Service as sacred currency. We've been taught that service is selfless, that it means sacrifice, that to serve is to diminish ourselves for the sake of others. But what if true service is not depletion, but circulation? What if service is not an act of giving from lack, but a radiant overflow of who you truly are. Service is sacred not because it makes you small, but because it makes you visible in your essence. When you serve from alignment, you don't disappear. You become divine currency. Think of it this way. Money is one form of exchange, but energy is the root, and the clearest, purest transmission of energy is soulful service, not performance, not pleasing, not proving, but the quiet power of saying, "This is how I bring healing into the world. This is the echo I leave in every room." Raj, a software developer turned meditation teacher, once told a friend, "I never thought I could make money helping people slow down." But he did, not because he monetized his purpose, but because he offered his presence as a gift to others without losing himself in the process. His classes became full, his income steady, his joy visible. He didn't give more, he gave true, and truth is always valuable. This is the heart of sacred service. You give from wholeness, not from duty, and in doing so, you remind others of their own wholeness too. The field rewards integrity, not martyrdom, and the more aligned your offering is with your essence, the more naturally energy, and yes, money, flows back to you, not as a trade, as a recognition. Think of someone like Mr. Rogers. He didn't build wealth by trying to be famous. He served with gentleness, clarity, depth, and in that quiet presence, millions were healed. He became a channel of safety in a noisy world. And that channel, it was currency. It still is. So ask yourself, what do I offer that feels like home to others? Where does my soul feel most generous? What does it look like to serve without shrinking? Practice sacred service mapping. Take a pen and paper. Write at the top, the energy I most love to give. Then complete the sentence 5 to 7 times, not with roles, with frequencies, examples. I love to give clarity. I love to give safety. I love to give inspiration. Now ask, how can I offer this while staying fully nourished? This is your sacred currency. Spend it wisely, spend it joyfully, and trust. It always returns with interest. You are not here to serve from depletion. You are here to serve from overflow. And when you do, your life becomes the most valuable currency of all. Chapter 25. Instant manifestation is real. There is a moment when it happens all at once. No waiting, no build-up, no long path. Just click. The email arrives, the door opens, the idea lands, the money appears, and you say, "Where did that come from?" The answer is simple. It came from you. But not the version of you that wanted it, the version of you that finally matched it. Manifestation isn't magic. It's mechanics, not of matter, but of frequency. When your inner field becomes identical to the thing you desire, time collapses, not because you forced it, but because there's no longer a gap to fill. You and the outcome are vibrating as one. So it shows up, instantly. Gabriel, a conscious DJ in Costa Rica, spent years trying to book the perfect festival. Emails, agents, promotions, nothing. Until one night, in meditation, he fully imagined the moment he would walk onto the stage, not as a dream, but as if it had already happened. He felt it in his chest. He danced to the imagined beat. He even smelled the forest air around the venue. And when he emerged from that moment, his phone lit up. Invitation. Flight paid. Set confirmed. Not coincidence. Co-resonance. You see, time is only needed when alignment is still forming. But when the field is clear, coherent, undivided, reality responds instantly. Here's the part that surprises most. You're not waiting for money. Money is waiting for you to stop waiting. Because waiting holds the vibration of not yet, and the field always matches your tone. Think of someone like Jim Carrey. He didn't just write himself a $10 million check. He became the man who had already earned it. And when the role arrived, he didn't flinch. Because it wasn't a surprise. It was resonance made visible. So ask yourself, where am I still vibrating in almost? What part of me says, I want it, but still feels separate from it? What would change if I let go of the chase and chose identity instead? Practice instant alignment activation. Sit still. Close your eyes. Feel the desire in your body, not as longing, but as presence. Now ask, what does the version of me who already has it feel like? Step into that version. Stand taller. Breathe slower. Relax your jaw. Smile gently, because there's nothing more to get. Now in that state, whisper, this is me now. This is already mine. Open your eyes and don't step out of it. This is not visualization. This is identity shift. You're not here to wait. You're here to merge with what's already yours. And when you do, life doesn't hesitate. It rushes in. Because manifestation is not about force. It's about finally becoming the version of you where everything you desire already exists. Chapter 26. Walking as the future self. What if you stopped trying to get there and started living as if you were already there? Not as fantasy, not as fake it till you make it, but as energetic integrity. Because the most powerful thing you can do for your future is to stop making it future. Your desired reality is not waiting in the distance. It's waiting for a version of you bold enough to claim it, to walk like it, speak like it, decide like it, even before the evidence shows up, especially before. This is what most people miss. Manifestation is not just frequency, it's embodiment. You don't attract abundance by talking about it. You attract it by behaving like someone who knows it's already theirs. Think of Emily, a graphic designer in Prague. She used to undercharge, apologize when sending invoices, shrink in client meetings. Until one day, she asked, how would the version of me who makes $15,000 a month behave today? And she began showing up as her. She raised her rates. She rebranded with elegance. She spoke slower, more grounded, more certain. She didn't wait for proof. She became it. And 3 months later, her income caught up. Not because she forced it, but because she finally stopped contradicting her future with her present self. Here's the truth. The version of you who has everything you desire isn't different in potential. They're different in posture. They say no when it's clean. They invest when it's aligned. They rest without guilt. They lead with clarity, not because they're better, but because they stopped playing small with the universe. Think of Beyoncé. She doesn't walk on stage wondering if she belongs there. She embodies the space, not through arrogance, through energetic congruence. She doesn't wait for permission. She walks as if the stage was made for her feet, and the world responds accordingly. So ask yourself, how does my future self speak to strangers? How do they reply to opportunities? What do they tolerate? What do they wear, eat, believe, release? And most importantly, am I ready to stop visiting that version and start living as them now? Practice. Future self-activation. Close your eyes. Picture your future self, not in fantasy, but in detail. See their eyes, their spine, their tone, their rhythm. Now ask, what does this version of me do today that I've been too afraid to do? Choose one action, a call, a boundary, a wardrobe shift, a bold ask. Now do it. Not as a test, as a return to who you were always meant to be. And tomorrow? Do it again, and again, until you no longer become that version. Because you are. Your future isn't waiting, it's watching. For the moment you stop delaying it with smallness and doubt, and the moment you walk like it's already yours, it is. Chapter 27. Integration is everything. At some point on every journey, you stop reaching, you stop asking, you stop seeking the next step. Instead you sit, you breathe, you let it land, because transformation is not complete when you understand something. It's complete when you integrate it. Integration is where insight becomes identity, where practice becomes presence, where trying becomes being. It's not exciting, it's not viral, but it is sacred. Think of integration like digestion. You don't keep eating more food while your body's still processing the last meal, but that's how many treat spiritual or energetic growth. Always reading, always learning, always tweaking the next vibration, while forgetting to rest into the one they just stepped into. If you've been feeling tired lately, less interested in more, less impressed by new information, that's not failure. That's arrival. Your field is catching up. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your cells are adjusting to a new baseline of frequency. Let them. Eli, a conscious business coach in Vancouver, used to sprint through programs, books, courses, until one day, nothing hit anymore. He felt numb, stuck, overfed. That was his cue. He stopped consuming. He started conversing with himself, with his body, with the silence, and in that stillness, the insights he'd once understood finally became who he was. He didn't just know he was worthy, he felt it in his bones. And that's when the external breakthroughs returned, not because he learned more, but because he finally embodied what he already had. This is the season many skip, the sacred pause, the integration cocoon, the moment where everything ripens in the quiet. But this is where power settles. Think of meditation masters, healers, creators. Their wisdom isn't in their words, it's in their frequency, because they've stopped doing the work and started being the result. So ask yourself, what truth have I already received, but haven't yet lived? What energy have I touched, but not yet anchored? Where am I still trying, when I could simply trust? Practice the integration cocoon. Choose a day this week. No learning, no seeking, no optimizing, just living. Let everything you've gathered breathe inside you. Speak less, feel more, move slowly, drink water, touch earth. Say softly, I have enough. I am enough. I let this version of me settle into my bones. Then rest, because rest is where recoding happens, where the seed becomes root, where alignment becomes your new default. You don't need more information. You need more information, letting everything you've become form you from the inside out. And when you emerge from this cocoon, you won't just know the frequency of wealth. You'll be it. Chapter 28. The new normal. There comes a moment on every path of expansion when what once thrilled you no longer surprises you. Not because you're jaded, but because you've become it. You're no longer chasing it. You're living it. This is the moment where wealth stops feeling like a miracle and starts feeling like oxygen, not loud, not shocking, just normal. But don't confuse normal with boring. This isn't the death of magic. It's the stabilization of power. What used to feel like lightning now feels like your natural light. You used to celebrate small checks. Now they land without fanfare, because your nervous system knows how to hold them. You used to script your affirmations. Now your body radiates truth without needing to say it. You used to journal about becoming her. Now you are her. This is not ego. It's embodied arrival. The new normal is when abundance is no longer your goal, but your default. Adrian, a sound healer in Bali, once cried when he made his first $3,000 month. It felt impossible, sacred, unreal. 2 years later, 30,000 months became his baseline. He was grateful, yes, but not shocked, because his system had upgraded, his story had recalibrated, his field had matured. He wasn't chasing alignment anymore. He was alignment. The new normal doesn't shout, it hums. And that hum is what draws higher opportunities, cleaner relationships, deeper rest. Not because you're striving, but because you've finally settled into who you were meant to be. Think of someone like Michelle Obama. Grace, power, depth. She doesn't need to prove her value. She walks it, effortlessly, calmly. She has normalized a level of presence that others are still dreaming into. And that's the invitation for you now. So ask yourself, what do I no longer need to make happen? Because it's already who I am. What used to feel impossible, that now feels natural. What would it look like to stop reaching and start resting inside my new standard? Practice. Baseline rewriting. Write down 5 things you once longed for, that you now experience with ease. Next to each write, "This is my new normal." Then close your eyes, breathe it in, let your cells adjust, let your mind stop striving. You're not the seeker anymore, you're the signal. This is the final shift, not a dramatic leap, but a quiet settling into a life where wealth is not a chase, but a rhythm, not a mountaintop, but a floor beneath your feet. And from this floor, everything else becomes play. Chapter 29. Money as light. At the highest level of awareness, money stops being energy. It stops being strategy. It even stops being story. It becomes something subtler, softer, truer. Money becomes light, not a metaphor, a frequency, a carrier of intention, a reflection of clarity, a transmission of who you've become. You begin to feel it, not just in your wallet, but in your field. When you send money now, you send blessing. When you receive money now, you receive confirmation. The exchange becomes sacred. No noise, no rush, just alignment made visible. Sophia, a conscious brand designer, once said, "Every invoice I send now feels like a beam of gold moving between dimensions." She wasn't joking. She had stopped viewing money as payment and started viewing it as prayer in motion, a channel, a current, a shimmering line of trust between souls. Because when your relationship to money is healed, it becomes a mirror of your radiance, not your effort, not your status, your light. And here's what's miraculous. The more light you carry, the more money flows naturally, without scarcity, guilt, or proving. Because money loves clarity, and light is the clearest signal there is. Think of someone like the Dalai Lama. He does not need money, but when money flows toward his work, it moves with reverence. Why? Because his field is clean, his heart is open, his light is anchored. And so, people want to give, not out of obligation, but out of resonance. That's what happens when money stops being about possession and becomes about presence. So ask yourself, where have I been treating money like weight when it wants to be light? What would shift if every transaction was a blessing in disguise? What light am I ready to let money carry for me into the world? Practice the light transmission ritual. Next time you send money, pause, breathe. Hold your phone, your card, your cash. Whisper, "Let this money move with light. Let it bless the space it enters. Let it return with joy, clarity, and grace. Then release it. No fear, no grasping, just light, finding its way back home. Money is not just energy, it is illumination, and when it moves through someone clear, it carries their light with it into places even their voice cannot reach. That someone is now you. Chapter 30. You are the wealth. After all the practices, all the remembering, all the frequency shifts, one truth remains. You are not here to chase wealth. You are here to realize you are it. Before the affirmations, before the strategies, before even the energy fields, there was you, radiant, untouched, already full, not waiting, not proving, just being. All the money you seek, all the clients, the love, the ease, they're not gifts from outside. They are echoes, reflections, responses to the inner wealth you've decided to allow. You are not wealthy because your account says so. You are wealthy because you walk into a room and the room softens, because your presence heals timelines, because your stillness carries truth. That is wealth. Julian, an intuitive coach in Lisbon, once stood on a beach after closing his biggest month yet. He thought he would feel triumphant. Instead, he felt quiet, because in that stillness he realized, none of this made me more. It just gave shape to what was already here. He cried, not from lack, but from recognition. He had never been chasing money. He had been chasing a mirror, and now he could finally look into it and see himself. So let this be your return, not to a method, not to a mindset, but to your being, to your capacity to hold space, to transmute fear, to carry beauty, to let joy rest in your bones without needing a reason. That is wealth. Think of someone like Maya Angelou. Her presence was richness, her voice, currency, her truth, inheritance. She didn't wear wealth. She was wealth, and those who heard her left richer. This is now you. So ask yourself, what would change if I stopped becoming and started being? What does my body feel like when I am not chasing, but radiating? What does life bring to those who already know they are the source? Final practice. The self-claiming stillness. Sit in stillness. No words, no music. Place both hands on your chest. Whisper, slowly, I am the wealth. I am the channel. I am the answer I was waiting for. Breathe. Let that truth settle deeper than your fears, your stories, your mind. This is not performance. This is not performance. This is not performance. This is origin. You have arrived. You are no longer the seeker. You are no longer the student. You are no longer the chaser of light. You are the light. You are the field. You are the frequency. And from this place, wealth is inevitable. Not because you asked perfectly, but because you finally remembered you were never asking. You were always becoming the answer. Closing message. You were always the source. You've reached the end of this journey. But this isn't an ending. It's an arrival, a remembering, a quiet opening into the life that's been waiting for you, not in some distant future, but in the space you're sitting in, now. You've learned that money is not the goal, not the enemy, not the savior. Money is energy. Money is a mirror. Money is a teacher. Money is a current that flows where truth is allowed to live. And most of all, money is you, reflected. You've walked through the echoes of scarcity. You've faced the ghosts of inherited shame. You've tuned your field, cleared your channels, claimed your worth. And now, you no longer reach from lack. You extend from fullness. You no longer hope for wealth. You walk as wealth. This book was never meant to give you answers. It was meant to dissolve the question, to bring you home to the knowing that you are never separate from what you desired. You are the source. You are the frequency. You are the wealth. So breathe. Stand tall. Smile gently, because the field is listening. Your frequency is set, and the life that belongs to you is no longer something to become. It is who you are when you stop forgetting. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for radiating. Thank you for becoming the answer. End of Money is Energy.